Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
I am that dude, Bodkins. Patty to patty. It's ridiculous. No way. There's nobody else out there. He's your guy. Give a big round of applause for the one and only Bodkin Show. I'm going to repeat that again, folks. I didn't stutter. Welcome to the Bodkins Show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of the Bodkins Show. I am that dude, Bodkins, of course. Welcome to our Thursday night episode show. We're in the perfect spot right now as UConn is just absolutely kicking the dog shit out of Alabama. Hopefully you just watched the nice Michigan State, Kansas State game. Got a little bit of time in between. So tune in, watch us, have a good time, have a few laughs. Always with me every Thursday night. You guys know who it is. My Puerto Rican brother, Johnny Cruz. Johnny, what is up, my friend?
What is going on, man? Yeah, you went from a nice 98-93 game to a complete ass whooping. UConn over Arkansas, man. So
hey, UConn,
Scott picked it too with UConn.
Yeah.
He said they would make a long run, and yeah, they are doing it, man. It's nice.
They are headed to the Elite Eight. I mean,
Yep.
K-State, which we had, headed to the Elite Eight as well. Tom Izzo's run has ended. We'll talk about our bracket. We'll talk about the first round, kind of preview some of these March 16th round matchups as well. Tomorrow's matchups. We know, obviously, K-State advancing, UConn advancing as they're giving that ass beating like my daddy used to whoop my ass. That's how bad they're whooping Arkansas's ass right now. Speaking of dads, speaking of grandpas, we got this guy to stay up past his bedtime. We went to different high schools in different decades. Welcome to the show, friend of the program for the first time, Keith Engle.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I feel like $1 million after that. I feel very old. Thank you.
Keith, I appreciate you staying up past the bedtime. You missed us. We missed you last week. I know you said you took a nap, staying up late with us. So we appreciate it.
In all honesty, I think I actually missed last week because I heard what Johnny was getting paid on this show, and I thought I should get the same kind of deal.
You got to talk to Dan Harris.
Everybody got their hands in my pocket now. Everybody got their hands in my pocket. Oh man,
it's good to be here, though. I enjoy being on with you guys, and it's a lot of fun. So we'll have some fun tonight.
We appreciate it, Keith. Let's jump right into college basketball. What's your thoughts so far of this tournament?
Well, madness prevails as always, right? And here's the thing. I've said this forever. The mid-majors and even below mid-majors are catching up and they play well in this tournament. Year after year, there's somebody who makes a run. Maybe they don't go all the way, but because of the experience that these schools have, they've got kids that are there 4 years against kids. You saw it in the two classic games. Virginia, you saw it at the end of that Furman, Virginia game when a kid just throws a ball up over his head because they're inexperienced. The Purdue guards had trouble with FDU, and that was the difference in those games. The experienced backcourt play wins games in this tournament. It may not take you all the way, but you'll see some stunners, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
How about this FDU? I just want to hit on this. They didn't even win their conference tournament.
No,
they weren't even supposed to. The only reason they got in is because the team that did win their conference tournament isn't even allowed to be playing in this tournament because this is like their first or second year playing D1 basketball.
Maryland, I think it's the stupidest rule the NCAA has, by the way. There's zero reason they shouldn't be able to compete. Same thing in football. They can't go to a bowl game in those first 4 years. That's just
How are you allowed to say, hey, we think you're good enough to join Division I, but you're not good enough to compete in the tournament or a bowl game? It makes absolutely zero sense.
Sends the wrong message, I mean, why would I want to move up if I don't have any chance to even compete on the highest level? It's just nuts.
Yeah, that is a weird rule there. But yeah, like you said, madness. I'm pretty sure a ton of brackets have been blown up. I know ours that we did live on the show is pretty much dead.
It's not dead, Johnny.
I mean, it's on life support. But you know, saying there's a few that are still going by. My Canes are representing well. Hopefully, they can keep it going tomorrow.
To you.
But it's been a lot of fun. I mentioned to you, you know, when we were doing the brackets, that I could see at least 4 or 5 double-digit seeded teams moving on. I just didn't pick the correct ones.
Yeah,
but it's definitely happening. I mean, it makes it more fun, I think. You know, and I totally agree with Keith. You got a lot of these schools that the kids are staying there 2, 3, 4 years, as opposed to all of these one and done. So I think they get to build that chemistry and the experience of playing together. So it makes it for a lot more interesting games in the tournament.
Well, you mentioned our bracket, Johnny. We're not even on life support yet. We got 3 of our Final Four teams left. The only one that is missing is Duke, as they were lost at Tennessee. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our Elite 8 left.
True.
that's not bad right now.
I'm about to say that actually ain't too bad.
My winner's out already. I had Marquette winning it all. I'm doing so bad. I think in the Yahoo pool that either you or Dan, I don't know who set it up. I didn't even get in it, so I've been blocked from the Yahoo pool altogether. So I can't even see how I'm doing.
So we and then our Sweet 16, we have Alabama in. We got Creighton in. We missed out on the whole Memphis Duke matchup as FAU and Tennessee are kicking off right now. We had the Kansas State, Michigan State. We had Marquette there, and you and Scott wanted Marquette. I wanted K-State, and we went with you guys and Marquette.
Loved Marquette.
And we have Houston and Miami in the Sweet 16. And we had that matchup right, and then we have Iowa State, Texas. Texas is in, and then we had UConn, and UConn's obviously advancing. We had Kansas there, which a lot of people did, and then UCLA and TCU. Scott, let's look at Keith. I'm blaming Scott for my bracket. Keith, let's look at some of these matchups here in the Sweet 16. Which tonight matchup intrigues you the most? We just had a hell of a game of Michigan State and K-State.
I think there's a couple of games I'm really interested in. Tennessee, who's played much better than I thought. I thought they'd flame out, and I thought Louisiana might upset them in the first round. They've played so bad the last month of the season. After about 6 weeks ago, I thought this was Rick Barnes' best team. They were playing great. The defense was great, which it's been great, but then they stopped putting the ball in the basket. But they played really well. They played a weird game against Duke. That was an ugly. I don't know if you watched the game, but it was ugly, physical, just
bully ball. They just bullied Duke.
It was ugly basketball, but it's been effective. And I think that matchup with FAU is interesting tonight. I do have Tennessee in a survivor pool that I'm still in. It's worth $6,000. So root for me tonight. Well, yeah,
hey, it's
absolutely.
And Gonzaga and UCLA, I think, is going to be a fun matchup too. Even with UCLA's injuries, they played pretty well so far. They beat a really game Northwestern team in the second round. And Gonzaga is another team that a lot of people, including myself, had buried early in the year. They had a couple bad losses. I didn't think they were good enough in the backcourt as they'd been in recent years. But Mark Few is probably the most underrated coach. He's a top 5 coach, and nobody gives him any credit. This might be his best coaching job right here. Drew Timmy's a great player, but everything else around him, he's had some kids step up. But this is probably his best coaching job, and I've had them going to the final. I've still got 3 teams in the Final Four. Unfortunately, my winner's not in there, but I do have Gonzaga in the Final Four as well.
What's the other 3 teams then?
I have only one 1 seed getting in. That's Alabama. I had Texas, Gonzaga, and Marquette.
To me, through the first weekend, I thought Alabama looked like the best team
for sure
in the country. They showed why they were the number 1 overall pick. They showed why. Hey, there were nobody even. I think Maryland played at half with them, about half of a half with them, and then after that, it was over.
I think Houston too has played pretty well, better than expected. Sasser I think he only played half of the first game, which they didn't need. And there was worry about him and Shed both in round 2. They both played without showing any ill effects of injury, I thought, against who the heck did they beat the other day? No, I forget. Auburn. Auburn was terrible, but I think Houston's played kind of to to their norm as well. So that's going to be a good matchup with Miami, as Johnny said the other day. My stepson had his undergrad at Miami, so I've become a Miami fan kind of through osmosis here. But I do.
Nice.
They better play better than they played against Drake, because they played well for about 4 minutes of that game at the end, fortunately to win. And Drake fell apart at the end. So, but they played well against Indiana, much better against Indiana. They pretty much manhandled them. That should be a fun game tomorrow.
I got the Canes winning that.
I do as well.
What about you?
I've got them going to the Elite Eight as well.
Yep.
And what about who you got this Gonzaga UCLA game? You mentioned. I think that to me is going to be the game of the night. It's going to be kicking off here in just a little bit. Who you like in this one?
I like Gonzaga here. Again, I think UCLA will give them a bit of a fight. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think Gonzaga's much healthier. UCLA, they're missing too many key parts. Martin being out is one of the best defensive players in the country, and that's going to be a key tonight. And I think Drew Timme carries this team. His experience. Mark Few, Mitch Cronin is a good coach, but Mark Few is, as I said, one of the best coaches in the country, and he needs to get credit for it.
I got UCLA. I mean, this is where Gonzaga's usually runs out. Is when their teams don't have quite as much talent. I still think UCLA, even with some injuries, are very talented. I mean, we got them on our bracket all the way to the Final Four. So I'm riding with the Bruins. Johnny, we picked the Bruins last week. You still riding with the Bruins here?
I'm still riding with them. I mean, I know in our official thing we picked Alabama to beat UCLA in the title game, but I actually like UCLA to win that if they make it there. The injuries, of course, are worrisome, but like you mentioned, this is about the time where Gonzaga winds up, laying a big fat egg. So I think UCLA will just barely get by Gonzaga, and then I think they'll make it to the championship game as well.
I think it'll be a close game. If I'm not mistaken, that Kansas State-Michigan game was the first overtime game of the tournament. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it almost went to double overtime.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Keith, did you watch any of that game? Because my head was exploding on K-State. What were they doing? I mean, several times, just bad shot selection, deep threes when you're up or even tied with the close game. Like, what are we doing? And then that last possession by Michigan State. Like, I thought Hauser had a good look, and he didn't take it, passed it up. Like, shoot the damn ball, son.
The lights were too bright right there for him, bro.
Yeah, on that when it was a 1-point game at 94-93, I think. What is the kid taking a 35-foot 3 for? I mean, he's lucky.
Step back at that. Yes.
They got a huge break with him getting a piece of that ball because
yes. And he did the same thing in regulation. Regulation, I think they were up 2, and he just shoots this crazy ass 3-point shot with about 6 seconds left on the shot clock. I said, "What are you doing?" Like. Yeah. Go to the basket, drive. I did not. I thought Michigan State. I was like, Michigan State's going to win it, and they're going to like that. Is going to be the key. And fortunately, that K-State got bailed out there. But that was to me so far kind of the game of the tournament.
Well, this bracket has worked out pretty well for K-State, I think, to get a chance to go to the Final Four here. I thought, at Michigan State, this is not a vintage Michigan State team, but another guy who's a good coach and. Yeah. Especially in March, is Tom Izzo, and I thought that might be the difference tonight, but he just doesn't have the horses this year. But now this bracket, I think, is matching up pretty good for Kansas State.
Yeah, FAU and Tennessee. I mean, K-State. I mean, you got to like their. I like their chances. That kid had 18 assists tonight.
Oh, he's got over 14. I think he's the only player in the tournament that's had over 14 and. 2 different games, so he's playing very, very well.
Yeah.
Is there any upset you see here, Keith, in the Sweet 16?
I'll tell you, the one I did like was a blowout. I liked Arkansas tonight over UConn. UConn's gotten really on a roll. they played well early in the year. They got as high as number 2, I think, in the AP poll, if I'm not mistaken. And then we went to a midseason swoon where they lost like 5 out of 7 games. But Danny Hurley's done a great job there. That team is tenacious. They got some big time. They got one big time player and they got a bunch of role players, and they know what their jobs are. We got a kid from right here near Albany. Went to Albany Academy. He's from Amsterdam, where I'm from. He probably doesn't mean anything to you guys in upstate New York. He's on this UConn team, Andre Jackson. He's all over the place. I mean, he's not a superstar, not scoring tons of points, but this guy does all the dirty work that you won't need it from a guy. Every team needs a guy like that. And this team's playing as a team. Since halftime of that Ione game where they were behind, they've just played great, great basketball since that point.
What about Princeton Creighton? I had Rob Logan on Sunday. He said, watch out for Princeton. He thinks Princeton could win that game. He said Princeton makes you play their game.
They do. They're not the Princeton of Pete Carell. They're a different team. They got better athletes than they've had before. They really shoot the three well. They play good defense. They can take you, as you said, out of your game and make you play theirs. They're going to beat Creighton, I think. I really do. I think they'll beat Creighton, and they're going to have a tough matchup against Alabama, obviously. But anything can happen.
Right.
You get a 15.
It's March, baby.
Right.
You might see a 15 in the Final Four for the first time. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
You think Princeton can make it?
They can. I don't think they will, but there's no reason to say it's absolutely impossible. I mean, Alabama looks really good. You're absolutely right. They look like the best team in the country. But every day something new happens. Somebody because they've got a lot of stuff going on the sideline, as you know. And, Miller's got to have security wherever they go. Now Nick Saban has spoke up today and said something, and Nate Oates kind of just blows it off. Nate Oates is a great coach, by the way. He's from up this way, too. He coached at Buffalo for a while before he got there. Did a great job there. Nobody wins at Buffalo. And there's a lot going on with this team, though, as far as distractions. And they've managed so far to fall into any traps. But, they got to be careful. If Princeton gets by Creighton, they're going to be riding high. And it's entirely possible they could shock the world. That'd be a bigger shock to me than Furman FDU beating Purdue.
Agree. If they beat Alabama, that's probably I would agree with that.
That's what makes this tournament so special, and that's what makes the one and done so great. Because it's not the best of 3, it's not the best of 5, best of 7. It's just one game where anything can happen. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
And more parity than ever. More parity than ever. Yeah. I listen to people too talking about first time Princeton would be in the Final Four since I think 66 or 65. When Bill Bradley was starring there. But if I'm not mistaken, in 1965, you had to win one game to get to the Sweet 16. I don't think
was that your senior year?
That was my
year in high school.
That was my senior year in college. Yeah. No, I was only.
You and Bill Bradley had some battles, Keith.
We did. He retained more hair than I did to this point. He's got that going for him. Plus, he's a lot smarter than me, obviously. But then so is everybody else. Even the Mad New Yorker is smarter than I am, apparently. So.
I don't know about that. We were. Keith, what makes Alabama so good? Like, I mean, why are they just blowing teams out?
Nate Oates is a really good coach, and people are finding that out. Miller is a tremendous player. He's going to be a top 5 pick in the lottery probably this year. He's a great freshman. That's been those are the big differences. Plus, and the other guys play their roles on this team. And that's what you got to do. You need us. Yes, there are stars on every team, but then you need the guys to know their roles and play their roles and not break their roles, right? And you see it a lot of times. Kansas State can't survive playing the way they played tonight too often in this tournament because guys get outside of their game, do what they do well. And Alabama's not doing that. They're playing very well. They don't go long stretches without scoring. They play good defense when they have to. They're a solid team.
They're about as consistent a team as there is in the league, right?
Absolutely. And really to keep winning with the circumstances that have gone on off the court is, right. I think, a testament to the coaching staff as well.
Right. That's what I thought they would get caught up from the media and the off the court stuff, and they've been able to kind of just brush it away. I mean, I guess they've been dealing with it for 3 months, so why not?
Yeah, I'm sure it's, they've I think that's a distraction to these kids. Maybe it's not. I mean, they all come from some, not all of them. A lot of them come from neighborhoods where this is just the norm anyway. So maybe it's not as big a distraction as we think, so don't write me letters, please. I know it's probably offended somebody. Sorry. But.
Hey, Keith, nobody's writing letters these days, buddy.
I'm sorry. I thought it was 1966 again.
Alan says, Keith, he beat Carlos in the quiz show. He's not that smart. So,
well, don't sell yourself short, Alan.
Oh man.
Carlos doesn't think it's a big story that Princeton and FDU are winning games in his tournament. He just thinks
what
they're lucky and my Sunday Stream of Conscious show this week. My head almost exploded with him again.
I feel like that's probably every Sunday.
It'll probably happen tomorrow. He's just putting in the comments. I don't have him on the show. So tomorrow we're on together tomorrow morning, and it's probably not going to be pretty. Oh gosh, I don't know.
Keith,
that's what makes it good, man.
What makes this? Why is this like? Why are we seeing a lot of these mid? Is it the one and done deal? Is it because kids are leaving, and these mid majors are able to keep kids together for so long?
There's a couple of reasons. That's one. Yes, mid majors, they tend to stay 4 years, and NIL has kept guys that are marginal in college. I think that's had a big effect. And the transfer portal. Yeah. These kids who are sitting on the bench at Alabama's and Houston's and wherever else, they're going someplace where they can play.
Kentucky's K-State got a kid that's transferred from Kentucky. Now he had some medical stuff before, but
so that's changing. And K-State I wouldn't put in that category. I mean, they play in the Big 12, so they're not a mid-major by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not a basketball powerhouse either, right? So
no, but they were picked dead last in the Pac-12 or Big 12 to finish dead last, and here they are in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and again, those are the factors, though. I mean, you get to the tournament, just blind talent can get you through the year. You can win 23, 24 games, whatever, or more. But you get to the tournament, and experience now matters because you get into big moments. Like I said, you watch the end of that Furman and Virginia game, and you see exactly what happens when teams that are experienced go up against teams that are not.
Yeah, I didn't. I watched that game live, and I was actually in my office watching it on my phone, and I screamed out, "What the hell!" And I was like, "Oh my god!" Everybody ran and was like, "What? What?" I'm like, no, this dude just threw it behind his back like an idiot. They stole it. They nailed the three. Game over. Big upset.
No idea what he's thinking about right there. Crazy. If I'm not mistaken, they had a timeout too.
Yeah, had a timeout. Yeah.
So I mean, that's just, and again, that's where experience in that big moment comes in.
What about a value? You know what I mean, or something.
I mean, we got to remember these kids were just in high school. 8-10 months earlier.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's like you said, that the experience is a big factor. Coaching, like we talked about when we filled out the bracket, to me, it is huge in college basketball. So the combination of experience with a good coach will lead to winning some games in the tournament.
That's the difference between the NBA and college. One of the differences, it's a better game, college, by the way. But the difference is the NBA is a players' league and college is a coaches' league. It really is. Right. You still got to have players, but it's a coaches' league and always has been. And you saw it here. I mean, and guys make a name for themselves, and all of a sudden they got new jobs, right? Didn't take long. Rick Pitino moves on, and Tobin Anderson from FDU's got a new job at Iona. It's not, that's not Kentucky, but that's a step up from FDU, that's for sure.
Speaking of Pitino, he's going to St. John's. The Princeton coach is taking over at Georgetown. This is your
Pittsburgh coach.
Oh, Pittsburgh coach. I thought it was Princeton coach. It's the Pittsburgh coach is going to Georgetown. Okay. What's your
My bad. Back up. Providence coach is going to Georgetown. Ed Cooley.
That's right. Yeah, Providence. I don't know I said Princeton, but Providence coach is going to Georgetown.
Pittsburgh coach is going to Notre Dame.
Yeah, I saw that. What's your thoughts there? That's the Big East. That's your territory. Plus, you got Jim Bay. I know Jim Bay. The ACC is out, but Syracuse, Jim Boeheim finally. He's coached there your whole life. I feel like for all 60 years. So
almost, yeah. He only missed three of them.
So, what's your thoughts on some of those moves? And can Rick Pitino and Georgetown? Can those St. John's and Georgetown? Can they start getting back to the level they once were when the Big East was, one of the best conferences in all of college basketball?
They're not going to get back to that level ever. No conference will ever get back to where the Big East was in the 80s and the 90s. That you talk about coaches, that was the
names, right? Like you look at the list of coaches, John Thompson,
all great, all PJ Carlissimo, Raleigh Massimino, Jim Boeheim,
Jim Calhoun from UConn.
Jim Calhoun. Heck, when the league started, Bill Raftery from CBS was the coach of Seton Hall. They'll never be that again.
They'll just be relevant. Like I think Rick Pitino and St. John's. Pitino goes anywhere. He could go anywhere, and somehow he wins.
St. John's a tough place to win. And I know he went there, and I guarantee you that they had to make some concessions that they're going to play in the Garden more than they play at Alumni Hall, probably, or kind of Carnesecca Hall now. The problem is St. John's is different than probably any other major conference team in the country. There's really no campus. It's in the middle of Queens, New York, and it's kind of spread out over the whole borough. The facilities, the basketball facilities are not good. And Mike Anderson, with all of that, did a good job of recruiting. He just didn't coach the recruits that he had. And Rick Pitino's going to come in there. He gives them instant credibility. Whatever you think of Rick Pitino, he turns every team he ever has gone to around. He started at BU, got to the NCAA tournament. That wasn't a good team. He got to Providence, took him to the Final Four, a team that had been nowhere for 30 years before that. Went to a Kentucky team that had been on probation and almost got the death penalty when Eddie Sutton was there, and they had some other issues. He goes there, only wins a national championship in a couple of years. Goes to Louisville. A lot of things go on, I know, but they
won multiple championships and multiple trips to the final.
Yeah, well, he lost one of them at Louisville because it was taken away after.
Yeah, I mean, our eyes know. The record books may say otherwise, but we know, right?
And again, he was pretty much cleared of any wrongdoing. It doesn't mean nothing went on. And listen, is there a lack of institutional control? Maybe.
Keith, everybody got to have a fall guy. Patino knows that. Hey, he know that. Hey, everybody got to have a fall guy.
Well, that's what Chris Carter said, didn't he? He said, have
exactly. Hey,
you got to have one guy in your posse who's going to take the fall for you.
Yeah. Patino knows. Hey, he's Italian, brother. He knows. Hey, them Italian guys know. Hey, you got to have a fall guy.
He's a great coach and 70 years old. He wants to coach. He signed a 7-year contract. And I don't doubt that he's going to coach that entire contract, and he may make this team relevant again. They haven't won an NCAA tournament game in about 24 years. This is a pretty good program for a lot of years. And during the Big East heyday in the 80s, St. John's was one of the anchor franchises when Chris Mullen was there and taking Louis Carnesecca to the Final Four. If you remember, well, maybe you guys don't. 1985.
No, I don't, Keith. I was still swimming around my dad's nutsack in 85.
I understand.
I was around, Keith. I was 9-10 years old.
There you go. 3 of the 4 teams in the Final Four that year were from the Big East. So it was a great time for basketball. They helped basketball a lot, too. People talk about Magic and Bird putting the game on the map in 79. But the Big East was formed the next year, and it was really
ESPN too. ESPN had the rights. That's kind of how they built up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They were actually the first TV league in the country. And teams weren't on TV every night. You go find a team pretty much anywhere on TV. Any team you want to watch, you can go find somewhere. But then you didn't. So they get kids from California, kids from Florida, kids from the Midwest, because their parents want to watch them on TV. So
see, I grew up on that Big East too, so that actually taught me.
No, not me too.
College basketball was all the Big East teams and all those rivalries, and it was just, I mean, that was so much fun.
Yeah, I was having my midlife crisis there.
Keith, can Georgetown get back? I mean, the Hoyas, can they get back to relevancy?
It's going to be hard. I mean, what John Thompson did there was remarkable. That team was nowhere forever in their history when he got there, and he built obviously a powerhouse. I think if there's a guy that's going to do it, Ed Cooley is a good hire. He did the same kind of thing at Providence when he got there. That team had been downtrodden for quite a while. Got to the tournament every year, but I think once, and then also the COVID year, so twice, because there was no tournament during the COVID 2020. So I think he's a great hire for Georgetown. If they're going to turn it around, he's the kind of guy that can do it, but it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to take some time. One of the great programs, again, for the last 40 years it's a shame to see them in the shape that they're in. And Patrick Ewing, they probably kept 2 years too long.
I was hoping Pat would do something well because he was always an assistant coach, never got a chance to really coach in the NBA. Had always been a bench coach. Finally, I thought, oh man, he got a chance to go to his alma mater. I figured he could recruit in New York at least, right? Like get the best kids in New York. Everybody knew who he was. He's Pat Ewing, and it just never came.
I rooted for Patrick as well because I was a Nick fan, and I wanted to see him do well. He finally got his chance, as you say, and it never clicked. I mean, he would have got fired probably 2 years ago, but they went on a great run the end of regular season and won the Big East tournament. And probably saved his job, and he probably would have been fired. And they might have been better off if he'd been fired then, because then he was losing kids right and left to the transfer portal, and it was not a good situation. And I feel bad for him.
Too old school. You think it just?
I think so.
Can't connect with the younger generation.
No, and it's not an easy thing. I mean, who can? You guys. I can't connect with you guys for crying out loud.
I want to transition here, Keith, to some football news. Your guys' division, the AFC East here. The Patriots are dead in the water, I feel like. They have not made a single move. The Jets are out here trying to get everybody. Reports are that them and OBJ are close to a deal. It's reported that Zeke Elliott's got the Jets, Eagles, and the Bengals, I believe, on his list. And then today, Pac-Man Jones is kind of reporting that he feels like, and him and D-Hop are good friends, that D-Hop and the Bills would be are kind of in the making. What's your thoughts on any of those?
That part I didn't hear about Hopkins. That's interesting. I mean, there's been a lot of rumors with Hopkins and the Patriots, but I don't think they're going to give up the capital it takes to get him or pay him. You're right about the Patriots. Free agency has been, I mean, Jacoby Myers, they let go over a couple of $1 million, really. That's it. And they basically traded him for Juju Smith-Schuster, which I do not understand. I mean, you look at their numbers over their career, Schuster's got better numbers, but he hasn't had a good year in probably 3 or 4 years. Right. Jacoby Myers is a dependable guy, moves the chains. He's not an electrifying guy. He's not going to score 15 touchdowns. He went like 6 years in his career, didn't score any, but he moves the chains and he catches everything you throw at him. I don't understand. I mean, the money, and they pay Schuster more money, about the same money they would have had to pay Myers. I did like the move to bring in the kid from Miami, the tight end. I can't think of his name now. I can't. Gesicki. Thank you. And I don't doubt that they may draft a tight end. The best move they made was getting rid of Jonnu Smith. Goodbye. That's probably
what happened there. I mean, he was a good player in Tennessee and just
he just
New England and just
he disappeared off from the minute he got to the Patriots. And again, even when he got a chance to play, he'd drop balls, he'd miss assignments. Him and Hunter Henry have been huge disappointments. Henry's played a little bit better the last couple of years, and he's got a decent connection with Mac Jones, but he's been a disappointment too for the money they paid for him. I mean, that free agency splash they made 2 years ago, spending money like drunken sailors, which is very un-Patriot-like. The only guy who really panned out was Matthew Judon, and he's been a tremendous player. But this
He's
team
been the best player you guys have had last year, I thought.
Oh, by far. I thought, well, at least for the first
defensive player of the year, I thought for the first half of the season.
Of the year, about 3/4 of the year, he kind of faded a little bit. He did the same thing 2 years ago. But I thought he was a player of the year as well, defensive player of the year for at least part of that year. The Patriots got a lot of holes to fill. They got leadership holes now with Devin McCourty retiring. You got a hole on the field and in the locker room with him gone. He's just a good human being, and he's a Hall of Fame person and a Hall of Fame player. They did bring back Jonathan Jones. He's been around a while. He's 31 years old, and he showed last year he has the spurts where he looks good, but against the best receivers, the guy's in trouble. They need help on the offensive line. They need playmakers. There's a lot of holes yet on this team, and I'm a little concerned. Now, maybe he's got a plan in the draft, post-draft. I don't know.
Is it dead last? As we sit, and I know it's hard to say this right now, but right now, March 20th? I don't even know what March 23rd. March 23rd, Keith. I would tell you that I think the Patriots are dead last in this division. And that's if the Jets get Aaron Rodgers. If they don't, and you know what I mean, which I think that's a pretty much damn near done deal. I don't know where the Patriots how they win. I don't know how they compete in this division.
I want to make a case for my team, obviously, but right now it's very hard to do. I mean, I do think Mac Jones will not be the problem. I think the offense will be better this year with Bill O'Brien. And Bill O'Brien's got basically free reign to run that offense. He's made his own hires. I mean, Belichick's got the final say, but we've got a real offensive coordinator this year. Not, Matt Patricia is a good coach, but he's not an offensive coach. I do not know what Bill Belichick was doing.
They did Mac a disservice last year. They did him, and that's why we saw the regression, because you didn't have the right person coaching him.
Absolutely, they did Mac Jones a disservice. They did Matt Patricia a disservice. They put him in a position that he could not succeed in. And that's what's so ironic about the whole thing. The Patriots, through the whole run that they had for 20 years, one thing that the Patriots and Bill Belichick were always very good at was putting guys in a position to succeed, right? Don't ask them to do things they can't do. Right. That's why they were so consistent. Right. And guys who weren't the best athletes would be really good performers because they weren't asked to do things they couldn't do. But now you take two guys who don't have experience on offense. One's a really good special teams coach, which we had problems with last year too, by the way. We could have used him there. And Matt Patricia, who's a brilliant defensive mind. And we had trouble with our defense the last 2 years, and he's not calling plays there. We have Stevie Belichick calling the plays there. There's just weird stuff going on the last few years. And I've been obviously a big fan of Bill Belichick for a long time, but I'm starting to wonder what's going on here.
Has he lost the fastball, Keith?
It's starting to look that way. I mean, look at Jordan Mayo's one of the best coaches in the league. He's interviewing for head coaching jobs, and they won't even give him the title of defensive coordinator. And we got to look at Stevie Belichick, trying to touch his nose with his tongue all day long. Come on, Jesus. I mean, you're right. This team's in trouble. I don't want to say they're going to finish last. And if the Jets don't get Aaron Rodgers, they're probably going to finish last. I don't care who else they bring in. If you don't have a quarterback,
there's not a quarterback out there. Like, that's the thing, is they have sold themselves on getting Aaron. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that they don't. There's not a quarterback in the free agent. They're going to go get Cam Newton. We've seen that experiment.
No, they're playing Bs have all signed somewhere else, and so it's either Rodgers or bust. The Dolphins, I think, are better this year, assuming Tua stays healthy. That's a big if, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I think the Bills will be better. I think Josh Allen kind of got played outside of his comfort zone last year. For half the season or close to it, he looked like he'd really made the next step. And then he just regressed and went into some bad habits.
Too many turnovers, yeah,
way too many.
I think that the elbow was a little worse than they wanted to let on.
I do too.
But I think he kind of got. I'm with you on that one. I think he kind of got humbled by what happened last year. So I expect Josh Allen to come out and have a really, really good season if he can stay healthy.
Dan,
So
you didn't hear me say sack that bum.
sack that bum.
Dan, if you're going to turn into Carlos, you and I are going to have a serious problem.
Shout out, Dan. What's up,
Shout out, Dan.
Good to be here, Dan.
I mean, if the Bills if they do make the move for D Hop, I mean, imagine a team with, and I know we're speaking hypothetically, but Diggs, D Hop, Knox. I mean,
they need to run the football a little bit more better. I mean, Singletary's gone. Their best back is gone. Maybe Cook steps up in this.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe Cook can make that next step.
Yeah,
I don't know that he's a 3-down.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he's a 3-down back, but I mean,
yeah, but
are they offensively? Are they going to commit to actually running the ball? That's been the problem. Is that even when they are having some success, they don't continue to run the ball.
Well, you know what? You don't win games when you throw it you need to be able to run the ball to close games out.
Right.
That's what
they do with Josh Allen. That's the problem.
That's the problem, right? I mean, you got to have a running game to shut it down. Look at it; they could run the football. They'd have beat Kansas City 2 years ago. They wouldn't have, that wouldn't have been a problem. And maybe we would talk about Buffalo in a whole different context.
I forgot. Good call, Alan. I thought they brought somebody in, and they brought in your guy Damian Harris.
Oh, they did. I forgot. I didn't catch that either.
And they re-signed Hines too.
Got to stay healthy. Harris has had some injury issues the last couple of years, but that's a good sign. But he's not a 3-down back either.
But they could split. Nobody's a 3-down back anymore in this league. I mean,
some.
Derrick Henry's about it, if that. And they don't even throw the ball to Derrick Henry. There's not. I said this on a show I was on the other day. It was the free agency show. We were talking about running backs. Changing running backs it's like wiping your ass. That's how easy it is. I mean, it's come and go. That's why nobody's calling the phone to trade for Eckler. Nobody's picking up the calling for trading for Cook because
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think if somebody can get Cook.
Look at the backs of Rams.
They'll do it.
Look at the backs the Rams put out there the last couple of years. They're all terrible. I mean, there are not good backs just on every, littered all over.
They're not, but no team's going to pay them because they can go get somebody that's younger and cheaper.
I agree with that. I agree with that. They're not going to pay them because, the lifespan is not very long.
That's why I'm saying. That's why nobody's calling the phone to pick up Eckler to get him a new deal. That's why nobody's calling Cook because of the money he's making.
Yeah.
No, we'll get somebody younger and cheaper. They may not be quite as effective, but I'm not paying a running back for 5 years for $18 million because you're going to be worthless about 2 years from now, especially Eckler and Cook's case.
Well, especially the way the game's played today. I mean, running backs they're marginalized anyway to begin with, most of them, unless you're Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley last year, obviously.
Yeah.
But, the game's just changed so much. But to me, the good teams, even if the Chiefs, they run the ball to close out games.
Yep.
But they mix in guys too. It's not, you know what I mean? Like these cowbell backs are gone too. And I think more teams would rather have, hey, you know what? We may not have an elite guy, the cowbell back, but give me the 2 or 3 guys that we can mix in.
Stable. They want the stable of running backs.
Yeah.
Alan wants to know, could Bijan Robinson be a 3-down back? I think so. A lot of people are very high on him. But will they use him that way? Yeah. Depends on the team he goes to.
Right.
I think if he falls to the Bears at 10, that's a smashing home run for the Bears.
Ooh.
Yeah. A guy
might take him at 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a smart move if you're the Bears. If you take him.
I've seen him go all the way down to 18, I think. But,
That's what I'm saying. But 10?
Yeah, that's pretty high.
That's pretty high for a running back now.
Bears have had a nice off season now. The Bears, I think they've done very well.
Absolutely.
I agree too. I think they've nailed it.
They improved that defense a lot. I think that watch out. They could be a surprise team next year if Josh Fields improves his passing game.
Right.
Well, he's got somebody to finally throw to. He's got DJ Moore. He's got, he's finally got some people to throw to.
Yeah, Claypool's coming back for another year. So
yeah, I like Josh Fields. I think he's really gonna.
Justin Fields.
Josh Fields.
Yeah, I don't know who Josh Fields is. That must have been a guy from the 20s.
I think he played for the White Sox in 1919 when they threw the World Series. Actually, he did play for the White Sox in like the 90s.
Speaking of baseball,
That
Keith,
was great.
did you watch any of the World Baseball Classic?
I loved the World Baseball Classic.
And what was your thoughts? So you loved it.
I thought it was exciting. I'm a big proponent of this. It's a great. The tournament itself is a great ambassador for baseball in my mind. These guys go out there, and I had a couple of instances where I got into it with some people, and I did a vlog about this last week because people are ripping the baseball classic as soon as one of their guys gets hurt. Guys who, by the way, they spend all their days saying all they do is play for the paycheck, play for the paycheck, play for the paycheck. Then when they go play for free for the pride of their country, people are ripping them for going there because you get hurt and this team's paying you now for nothing. Well, they're not, by the way, because there's insurance on all these guys. I love it. You just watch, and they're playing hard. You watch Mike Trout say, I've never had so much fun playing baseball, and that might be
that's because he actually played for a championship for the first time in his life.
I was going to say that might be an indictment on the Angels as much as anything else. But
he never had high pressure moments in his the last few years, you know.
But I think it was a lot of fun. If you watch the Japan-Mexico semifinal, that was a tremendous game, back and forth. A lot of fun to watch. Japan's got a really good team. And that final matchup with Trout and Ohtani, what else could you ask for? How much better could you ask for as far as drama? It was a lot of fun.
I think they said 97 or 98% of Japan's TVs were tuned in to watching that matchup. Trout and
the other 2% were watching Godzilla, I think. I just offended a whole nother.
Hey, Keith, you're on the BodkinShow show, baby. We offend everybody. Everybody gets pissed off.
Don't worry about that.
That's what I do.
I like the idea of the WBC. I just wish it was at the end of the season.
But the guys who play, you can't ask guys to play after they played 162 games. I don't think. I'm not crazy about when they play it either.
I don't mind it. I mean, what are they doing? They're playing spring training.
They're only playing for a few more weeks at the end of the season.
But here's my thing: is you're already playing spring training games, so instead of spring training, you're just playing for your team. You're playing.
But they're going all out. The pride is just so high that these guys are going 110% when they're supposed to just be starting to get themselves into shape and stuff like that. That's the only thing that worries me, because I think they would still play at the end of the season. That's how much pride these guys have. They're going to want to play at the end of the season. So I just think it would be better timing if it was back then. Plus, you're giving the baseball some more showcase, some more love by having them play at the end of the season. So kind of.
But now's the perfect. Here's why it's the perfect time. There's no football. We're at the dog days of basketball. The only thing you're really competing against is March Madness. You continue into the fall. Ain't nobody going to give a shit because we're all focused on – we already got over the World Series, which their numbers are low. The World Baseball Classic actually had better TV viewing than the World Series does. Yeah. So, like, you're not competing with football. That's the thing, is you continue in the fall like you're talking about, Johnny. Nobody's going to be watching because
you can play the games. NFL. You can play the games on the nights that there's no football. I'm just saying you can make it work if you really wanted to. I'm just saying.
But I mean, I'm just saying the appetite's not there. The appetite's there right now because we ain't got nothing else going on. Yeah. Because the football's gone. We're at the end of hockey, end of basketball. The only thing we're really competing against is March Madness. So, and you're during the weekday. March Madness is the last, those Thursday, Friday, Saturday, kind of the weekend. So it kind of was a perfect time.
Their only other option is to, shut down baseball for 2 weeks, which they're never going to do, and play in the middle of the season like the NHL did, when they sent players to the Olympics. And that's never going to happen in Major League Baseball. I don't think so. I don't think there's another option. The problem is the injuries are what really hurts, and they hurt more when you get them in the spring, because if you did get them in the fall, I guess you got all winter to get healthy.
Right.
But my thing is only one person really got hurt. And that was the closer for the Mets.
Well, Altuve's out for
Altuve, but Altuve could have got hurt in spring training. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't disagree. But
he did it. He got injured.
I get it, but if it was, I just say if he would have got hurt in spring training, playing because he got hurt during a baseball play.
Yeah.
Unlike the closer for the Mets, whose name
Edwin Diaz.
Diaz was celebrating. So that's on his own. That's a little different.
You don't see guys celebrating spring training victories?
I don't think so.
You are watching Anaheim Angels play that, I guess. Or Alan. Is Alan still with us? I saw the Rangers celebrating spring training. Sorry, Alan. I got to throw that in.
It's all good, man. We everybody loves taking shots, man. That's what we do.
Hey, that's what we do here on the Bodkin Show, baby. I'm the same way, though. I just think that they were going to get hurt. If you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt. You can get hurt in spring training. You can get hurt walking. I mean, guys get hurt, especially baseball players. I feel like get the weirdest injuries. Carpal tunnel. I remember Carlos Zambrano got carpal tunnel because he was texting so much.
Didn't Sammy Sosa pull his back from sneezing or something?
He did.
Yeah. That was yeah. I mean, everybody's they're gonna get hurt, real.
Besides, also, I have to point out that there was I don't know if it was a first base. It had to be the DH or the first baseman for Cuba. I don't know if you saw the Cubans play. This guy looked like he was bigger than me. I mean, I've got kind of a pear shape to me. This guy looked like one in that red uniform, man. He really stood out. I was like, if that guy can play, I can probably go play.
He played the senior league.
He's dusting his glove off. He got his glove out, just patting the glove.
Hey, Keith, they don't got the gloves like you had when you was growing up, just that flat mitt, like Willie Mays had.
I got a real glove now, though. Listen, I'm going to be 63 years old soon. I have never not had my two ball gloves, in fact, in the back of my car in case a ball game breaks out. Still there.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you.
Kids
I always have at least 2 gloves in the trunk,
right,
with a couple of baseballs, just in case one of the kids wants to throw the ball around or whatever.
Yep.
Just because you never know.
Well, I'm at my friend's house now, and I say you want to throw the ball. They go, "What the frick are you talking about? Throw the ball."
They'll throw your back out, Keith. They're gonna throw your back out.
I mean, how about we sit here and watch somebody else throw the ball? Is what they want to do.
Oh man,
Keith, before we get you out of here, because we were wrapping up here our time, I'm gonna talk a little bit of the UFC 286, but I'll let you get out of here. I know it's way past your bedtime, so where can everybody catch you at?
You can catch me. It seems like every day of the week lately, but Wednesday nights you can catch me on the College Sports Huddle on TGI Sports Talk and Let's Talk Sports. You can catch the Are You Serious show with the Mad New Yorker, which is always a fun time to watch Keith try not to drop dead of a stroke. That's Friday mornings at 8. Sundays we have the Stream of Consciousness show. I do a vlog usually every week. I do with Dan's back doing the Let's Talk New York Sports with me on Fridays. Do a MLB wrap up for our update for Let's Talk Sports as well. Plus, we're back doing interviews, which is how I started when I started podcasting 3 years ago. I started interviewing guys that I grew up watching, like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, but they're dead now. Guys I grew up with. We had I had some great players. Probably guys you may not remember, but Roy White, Louis Tiant, Denny McClain I had on. We had some great interviews, and Dan has helped me kind of get back into that.
Did you just go to the nursing home, Keith, to book those guests?
We did a remote today with Wee Willie Keeler in the nursing home. No, actually,
Louis Tiant, that's a good one, man.
I had former Laker Kermit Washington on. I interviewed him last week. It played tonight. If you remember, Kermit was involved with the punch with Rudy Tomjanovich.
Oh
yes.
Now the punch made. I was like, I don't know. I was like, was they in Minneapolis at that time? I didn't know.
Had him on for an hour. Tonight I interviewed a former Georgia quarterback and Jet quarterback Matt Robinson. It was one of the most fun interviews I've done. Not a big time player in the NFL, and he admits it's mostly his own fault. He had a lot of talent and kind of just feels he squandered most of it. But we had a great time today talking for a little over an hour, so that'll be on next Thursday. And we got Irving Fryer coming up. Speaking of,
hey, I remember Irving. Hey,
Sure. Yes.
Chuck Foreman, if he shows up next week, we'll see if he shows up or not. But if you're watching, I don't mean that derogatorily. I know you wanted money the last time I talked to you, but Dan got him to come on with no money. He told him, Johnny's got all the money, Chuck. We can't pay you.
Dan is smooth with his super producing skills.
Yeah.
Dan makes it happen. Irving Fryer.
Fun with that,
that's
too.
a good one.
So you can catch it all, too, on TJ Sports Talk, or all my stuff. I simulcast now on Let's Talk Sports as well.
Awesome.
A lot of fun.
We appreciate it, Keith. Thank you so much for joining us. You can stick around and let me and Johnny talk the UFC real quick. We got about 5 minutes before we get up out of here, but I wanted to let you get those plugs in.
Well, I appreciate that. I am going to run. And by the way, UCLA's up 29-21, just so you know.
Hey, there we go. We're going to have to get out of here so we can finish watching. Keith, thank you so much for joining us. You take your eat your Jello and get a good night's sleep, my friend.
Anytime, guys. As long as you set an alarm for me, I'll be here. So.
Hey, we will. Thank you so much.
Have a good night, bud.
See you later. Bye.
Keith Engle, everybody.
Yes, sir.
How do I get out of here?
Just hit the X.
It's the exit button.
It's the X.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, right.
The X button.
That's a good dude, bro.
Hey, please, everybody, if you're watching, please check out Keith's stuff. Obviously, a great guy to have. I mean, it knows probably forgot more sports than what me and Johnny have seen and watched.
Absolutely.
But absolutely a legend.
Irving Fryer, former Eagle, former Dolphin. That's gonna be
I remember Irving Fryer. Yeah. Johnny, did you catch any of the UFC 286?
I didn't catch much of it at all, honestly. I want to forget. Like my past weekend was all kinds of confusing. I had to apologize to Dan like 12 times because I, went back on my contract like 4 different shows that I forgot about and stuff. My mind was all twisted and stuff. But I wound up having the Scott Cope show. We did Saturday at 5, and then I completely forgot about it. Started doing stuff with wifey because it was the anniversary weekend.
I was the anniversary first, yeah.
It was cool, man. It was a lot of just a lot of reconnecting, a lot of talking, a lot of It was we definitely needed it. Our youngest went to his friend's house for the weekend, so we got to be alone. We got to have a nice dinner, and just hang out and just chill like we did before we had kids.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? So it was nice, man. It was nice to spend some time. We definitely needed it, man.
Hey, that's when you're like, oh, this is why I love this person, because I forget sometimes because we get so caught up in life.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A lot of good talks and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. It was nice.
Much needed, always. So to my point of view, I just want to hit on the main and co-main before we get out of here. If you missed the co-main, Rafael Fiziev and Justin Gaethje, go back and rewatch that fight. Absolute war happened in 3 rounds. I told you that was going to could be fight of the year candidate. Absolutely delivered. It was a close fight. In fact, I think it was a majority win for Justin Gaethje. So one judge had it Fiziev, and 2 judges had it for Gaethje. It was a close fight, fun fight. Both dudes bloody, both dudes a mess. I told you that's what was going to happen. If you love boxing, Johnny, it was all stand up.
Nice.
Only one takedown. I think Gaethje took him down, and it was not until the 3rd round. It was the fight that we all thought it was going to be. I told you, hey, I texted you. I said, hey, if you're going to watch the fight, watch this fight on Saturday, the main and co-main. I said the crowd's going to be crazy. Crowd was crazy. I said the co-main is going to be an absolute killer of a show, and it was. And then we get to the main event, Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. Leon kicked Usman's head off way back in August to win the belt. They run it back. It was another good fight. I thought Leon really had a good game plan, was able to stop a lot of the Usman's takedowns, just kicked his legs, worked the body. It was a nice, good decision win. Well, it was kind of close, but I thought going in, for the most part, everybody had Leon Edwards, and Leon Edwards won by decision. But just a good tactical fight. So it was that fight was a chess match, right? Like you could see him working both fights, and then you look at the previous fight; it's just a war, just two dudes biting down on their mouth, just bloody messing, and just
toe to toe
in the pocket, just swinging and just going at each other. Fun fight. If you get into any fights, Justin Gaethje is your fighter. They say he's your fighter's favorite fighter, and he's everybody's favorite fighter. It's because he's so entertaining. He's never in a boring fight. Every fight of his is absolutely entertaining.
No, I'm definitely gonna check it out, man. Shout out to my boy G from Miami, Fire Stick guy. So I can watch replays of pay-per-view events on Fire Stick. So yeah, shout out to him. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out because, like I said, I didn't get to watch it this weekend, but I remember you saying, "Yeah, if you're gonna watch a fight, watch this fight." So yeah, I'll definitely have to check that one out.
Yeah, check out the co-main and then holler back at me. That was pretty much. So what's kind of next for each guy? I just want to kind of go who's next for who. Yeah. So we don't really know. It looks like Colby Covington, who's an absolute fuckface. I can't stand him. Somehow he hasn't.
How do you really feel?
I can't, dude. I can't stand him. Everything he says is just. He's a character, and it kind of goes back into wrestling. He's a heel, so I'm supposed to hate him. And I know he's playing a character. Like, nobody can be that douchebag of a douche as Colby Covington is. And the things he says, and he's like going at John Attic, talking about he's going to beat up John Attic and beat up his kids and stuff. Like, John Attic's an announcer. He's not even a fighter. Like, what are you doing? He hasn't fought in over a year. Dana says he's next. Nobody wants to see that. I think Leon should fight somebody. If Jorge wins in Miami, Jorge Masvidal wins, I'd like to see that because there's a history there. I don't really want to see him and Colby. There's not a lot of storyline, but
well, I mean, maybe that Colby dude to get his ass kicked, so that would make a lot of people happy.
That's the only thing we can hope for.
Now, I got a quick question about the Usman, because that's obviously a name that I've heard before.
Yeah.
20-3. Now, he lost the first two fights. Do they run it back for a third time, even though it's not tied 1-1?
So it is. So you talking about Usman and Leon?
Yeah.
No, it's 2-1. So they fought several.
They fought 3 times already.
Yeah. So they fought several years ago when they were both kind of coming up. Usman won easily. Then they fought last year in August or September, I can't remember, head kick KO. And I mean, Usman dominated that fight. You want to talk about a fight that was just, he was dominating. And then all of a sudden, headshot bang is what we call it.
He got caught.
I mean, set into the shadow realm. Eyes knocked out wide open. I mean,
what?
Hey, yes, yeah.
Okay. That's another one I'm about to go back.
Hey, just YouTube. YouTube it. Just YouTube. Okay. You can use YouTube that clip. And there's
that's all you need to see. That's all you need to see.
You don't even need to watch the whole fight. Just watch that clip. And there's a little cool story. If you can find it on YouTube too. Leon's coach is talking to him. He's like, "You got to do something, Rocky," because that's Leon's nickname, Rocky. And he's like, right. So he's called him Rocky. He's like, "You got to do something, Rocky." He's like, "You're letting him bully you. You don't let him bully you." I mean, if you watch the clip and somebody even put like the Rocky music behind it, I mean, it gives you goosebumps, man. It gives you. I mean, absolute gave me goosebumps watching that little clip from August. So I'm really behind Leon, but it looks like him and Colby could be fighting next. We're not too sure. I'd like to see if Jorge beats Burns in Miami in April. Jorge could get a shot because there's history there. The way back in like 2019, before the pandemic, he slapped Leon backstage, gave him the 2-piece and a soda deal. So there's a whole backstory between them. But I don't think Jorge's going to win against Burns, but we'll talk about that in a later day. But yeah, so I think it could be Colby. For Gaethje, looks like we could get a fight of the year with Dustin Poirier. They were their rematch. They had fight of the year in 2018. Was a hell of a fight, and it looks like they could be running it back there in the lightweight. What's kind of next for Fiziev? Somebody in the top 5. His stock doesn't lower because it was a hell of a fight. What's next for Kamaru Usman? Who knows? Because he already cleaned out the welterweight division on his way up and to get the title, had the title, beat everybody besides Leon. So it'll be interesting to kind of see who's next for him there, because there's not a lot of fresh blood for him because he already cleaned everybody up.
Right. So, like I said, will they run this back? I mean, if Leon fights, you said George, if he fights him, does Usman fight the loser of that one, or does he fight the winner of that one? I mean,
I don't know.
It's kind of weird to give him a chance at the winner, given that he just lost. But if he was dominating the like for so long, like you were saying, maybe
he'll need like at least 2 wins to. I don't see them running it back a 4th time. He will need Leon to lose,
right? Okay,
to really kind of enter the subject. Once you lose to somebody 2 times back to back like that,
right?
It takes a lot for you to kind of get back in there.
Yeah, you got to get on a little roll, kicking some ass, and then
and really, it's just got to be 1A and 1B. Like it's like, well, there's nobody else. Like both y'all cleaned everybody else up.
Right.
Who can we match up with? It's kind of similar to Volkanovski, Max Holloway situation in the featherweights. Volks beat him 3 times. Max beats everybody, every featherweight there is, but can't beat Volkanovski for some reason. And it's crazy.
Sometimes it's all about matchups, man.
Yeah. He just doesn't match up with them. So it is a little weird, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with Usman, who his next matchup will be. Dana wants Colby for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, like you said, he's a heel. A lot of people hate him. So I mean, it's gonna draw eyes.
You're right.
Dana's all about that money. You know what I'm saying?
It
so
moves.
if that moves the
Colby's
needle.
a little bit of a needle mover. He hasn't. The problem with like pure fight fans like myself, and like you put these rankings out, you have rankings, and he hasn't beat anybody. He hasn't fought in over a year. So I think we just want to see somebody who's been more active.
Right, I got you. That makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Hey,
so when's the next major event?
So the next pay-per-view is in April, but we have this Saturday, 2 of my favorite fighters are fighting, and I can't even make a prediction because I love both these guys. 2 bantamweights going at it. Both are on the cusp of a title shot. Winner may probably get a title shot, or if be 1 fight away, and it's Marlon Chito Vera, who might be one of the top 5 coolest people walking this earth. If I could be like, if somebody's like, hey, who do you want to hang out with? Chito Vera might be on that list. It might be like Joe Burrow, Chito Vera, and a couple other people. I mean, Marlon Chito Vera, one of the coolest people I ever like. Every time he's on an interview, talks, just low key, coolest dude in the world. Definitely somebody you're like, you know what? I definitely need to smoke a joint with that guy.
I was about to say, you smoke a fatty with that dude.
Hey,
I got you.
Hey, look him up. You can tell. Hey, you're like, and you watch him interviews. He just don't give a just low cool. I think he's. I'm not too sure. He's Hispanic, but I don't know. Like, I can't remember where he's from. But just, I think Guatemala. But I mean, just
what time on Saturday?
7th. I don't. Let me look. I'm not too sure.
Don't stress it now. Just text me and let me know what it is.
Anyway, and he's taking on another dude, Corey Sandhagen, who is an absolute stud of a dude too. Both guys are this is gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be a real counter. I think it's gonna be starts out slow because both guys like to feel each other out. A lot of counter. Cheeto's a great counter and knocks people out. His last 3 fights, dudes are sleeping. Sleeping. So
that's the best part of it, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm saying the submissions are good too, but when you see somebody get knocked the hell out, it's like I'm about to YouTube that Usman getting the
just YouTube it. Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, and you see his eyes. Hey, you know what's not bad when the eyes is open, when the eyes stay open. I mean, it was just, and Leon says headshot bang. I mean, headshot bang. And that's what he had the crowd chanting that Saturday. It was wild. It was a good scene.
Nice.
Yeah. And then when the introduction, Usman runs over there, try to intimidate. He just pulls out starts doing this to him at his head. Hey, I was like, oh shit, cold blooded.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely checking that out. As soon as we get done here, I'm gonna YouTube that right now.
Yeah, YouTube and just text me. Text me.
Absolutely.
Me. So what you got coming up the rest of the week, my man?
Well, tomorrow I ain't got nothing going on tomorrow, but Saturday I got my show with Dan. We're doing it early this week. We got a special guest. I want to say the special guest is the one and only Mr. Bodkin. It's Saturday at noon or 1 o'clock, I believe.
No, we changed it. We changed it. I had to change it.
Did you have to change it?
Yeah, he didn't tell you. That's your show.
Yeah,
I thought it was Dan's show.
It's Dan's show, but I do it with Dan.
Oh, okay.
I do the show with Dan on Saturday, so we normally do it at 5, but
yeah,
we're doing
it is.
at 1 o'clock.
It's hold on, because I can't do noon. I told Dan I can't do noon. It's 5. It's 5 Eastern, 4 o'clock my time.
Okay, so it is 5 Eastern. See, I'm
Yeah.
wrong, bro. These last couple of weeks, my mind has just been scrambled, bro. Like I can't remember nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I can't blame it on on the herb because I haven't done that in a long time. But yeah, I just can't remember nothing no more, man. But it's definitely gonna be a good time. But no, I'll be on something, of course, on Saturday. And then we should be doing Let's Talk About It on Sunday. And then Monday, of course, Monday night 8 p.m. will be the next episode of the Johnny Cruz Show. So yeah, I'm having fun, man. I'm just enjoying myself and looking forward to something that that we were talking about in the text, man. Hopefully we can make something like that happen with our boy Tanner. Shout out to Tanner with Whiskey Sports. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm having a good time, man.
As always, yeah. So Saturday I am on the Dan Harris show. That is going to be at 4 Central, 5 Eastern, 4 Central.
Yep.
And then Sunday we're doing a collab show. I don't know if I'm supposed to break that news yet, but I'm breaking it. Sorry, Dan. Collab show. From what I understand, it's going to be me, you, Tanner, Scott, and Ryan.
Yeah.
On the LTS collab show. And then Sunday night, we we're previewing some baseball with none other than Dan. I'm going to butcher his last. Is it Carubia?
Carubia.
Yes. Dan Carubia will be joining me for a nice little sit down, and we're going to talk the past, present, and future of all baseball things. Looking forward to that conversation.
Bro, he is a storyteller. Bro, you're going to love it, bro. You're going to love that interview, bro. He's a storyteller. He's got great stories. You're definitely going to love that interview, bro.
What is this? Yeah, face green smiling. What the hell are you talking? Tanner's drunk.
I was about to say too many whiskey shots, bro.
Hey, well,
he's watching these games right now, getting tipsy right now.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna get out of here so we can go watch this UConn or Gonzaga UCLA game. Hey, we appreciate you, everybody tuning in. Be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. Y'all know what to do. I'm gonna hit that. Is his ass like sitting on the computer? Or just he must just be sitting on his phone.
Yeah, that's the drunk texting instead of drunk dialing.
I don't know. Anyway, folks, we're gonna hit that outro for Johnny Cruz. I'm Nick Bodkins. This has been another great episode of the Bodkins Show. Oh, he's
emojis.
Those are hey Tanner, we're not getting them on here.
Yeah, no, we're not.
They're not liking it.
Oh, so it's describing the emoji.
Oh,
that
face
he's trying to put up there.
Face, fuchsia, tongue, out of face, fuchsia, tongue, out of face.
We're good. Let us know on the text what you were trying to say, bro.
Yeah. We'll get out of here. I'm hitting that outro. We'll see y'all next week.